a film where someone actually sees the car in all those Amber Alerts. Let's talk about Amber Alert. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass, and I'm here to talk to you about Amber Alert, which is coming to select theaters and on demand on December 27th, 2024. It is a new indie thriller that stars Hayden Panettiere and Tyler James Williams. My hot take is, I think you should watch it later. I like this movie a lot. I thought it was well done. It's an entertaining, tense thriller with a really good setup, some exciting scenes, and a really great cast with some nice chemistry. A few things I didn't love as much, but overall, I enjoyed this a lot more than I expected to. I thought it was a good movie, so I definitely think you should check it out. Just wait for it to come to streaming or on demand. So, all that being said, I'm going to tell you a lot about the film, a few things I like, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into a recap. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the recap section. If you don't know what happens in this movie, and you might not, there are some surprises and twists along the way. I would turn it off when I get there. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler-free. Let you know when I get to the spoilers. So, in Amber Alert, you have an ordinary rideshare, an ordinary Uber. Everyone has this happen. Jaq, played by Hayden Panettiere, comes and calls an Uber, and she's picked up by Shane, played by Tyler James Williams. But during this drive, they get an Amber Alert, and a car in front of them looks very much like the car in the alert. What do? Do they decide to follow this? Well, you have to watch the movie to find out. So, things I liked about this movie. The first, I love the setup. It has a really nice setup. It's got like a nice kind of slow opening where you get, introduced to the situation. You get introduced to these characters. They kind of talk for a bit. You get to know their personalities. It is a nice kind of like slow build setup before the actual like exciting part of the thriller happens. Second thing I loved the chemistry is also kind of related to the cast. I love the cast and the chemistry. I really liked Hayden Panettiere and Tyler James Williams. They are really fun individually, but they're really fun together. Their comfort with each other really progresses as the movie goes on, and their banter and the things that happen are really fun to see. And the last thing I love the misdirection. There's some misdirection, not a ton, but there are some moments where like stuff happens. You're like, oh, that's perfectly understandable, or oh, that makes sense, where it really kind of throws off what you think will happen next. So, things I didn't love as much about this movie. The first, I'm just gonna call it a simple story. It makes sense. It's an indie film. They wanted to keep it kind of simple, but the overall story, even though it has some twists, some misdirection, it doesn't have as many as I was kind of expecting. It has a somewhat predictable kind of like path that doesn't have like too many big veers along the way. And the last thing I didn't love as much, it's kind of an unfulfilling ending. It's not bad, but it is a little bit unfulfilling. So I won't go into it here. I'll go into that recap. But overall, I enjoyed Amber Alert. I definitely think you should check it out. Just wait for it to come to streaming or on demand. So, but if you do see it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. And I'm going to really quickly go into a recap right now. So if you don't know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So, in Amber Alert, you have the main thing, the Amber Alert. You got this kid named Charlotte who gets kidnapped by this black Toyota Camry. The Camry pulls up that has this like doll in it. Charlotte goes to that car. The car drives away. Her mom notices it later. She calls in the Amber Alert. That is, the big start of this film. Now, at the same time, you have Jaq, played by Hayden Panettiere, who needs to get somewhere, and she is about to jump in an Uber, but that Uber, goes unavailable because the person Shane has somewhere to be. Now, Jaq asks him where he has to go. They're in a close enough place that she just offers to give him a big tip if he can drop her off first. Shane agrees, and so their unlikely journey begins. Now, Shane has a few things going on. He is separated from his partner, and they have a kid. And today we find out is his kid's birthday. So Shane is driving to see his kid, to bring the presents, to kind of like be that good dad. And Jaq kind of derails us with her trip. Now, as they're driving, an Amber Alert happens, and Jaq is looking at her phone, and then looks ahead, and there is the car in the Amber Alert. Now, it's a black Toyota Camry, a very common car, one of the more common cars, I imagine, in America. And so Jaq is like, keyed in on this, but Shane is like, like that's a very common car. Like anyone could be driving that. But what they notice is that when the Amber Alert sign flashes, on the street, that car hightails it out. And so Jaq wants them to follow. Now, they proceed to follow it. They get more information at a gas station. Jaq goes and tries to see inside the car, and all she sees are like some feet, some shoes and pink socks. But you can't see who the kid is. She can't get more information. And so they follow this car. They call the tip, but the 911 people are like overloaded. There's so many calls for a black Toyota Camry. They didn't have the license plate. So people are calling in left and right. And so they take Jaq's information and then kind of like let it go. Now, eventually, That car they're following pulls over in like a secluded spot, and Jaq pulls up too, and they kind of like pretend like they have car trouble. The driver gets out and he kind of confronts them, but he's very nice about it. He's like, "Hey, like why are you following me?" And eventually he says, "I think you think I look like that Amber Alert. Look, like I was surprised too. I was nervous also. But I'm glad that you're doing this. I'm glad that you are like, taking this seriously. Everything's fine." And eventually he offers to let Jaq look in his car. They're approaching it, and it seems like maybe the driver is going to do something a little bit nefarious. But then we get an updated Amber Alert. The updated Amber Alert has a different license plate on it, and it doesn't have the license plate that they've been following. So they apologize, they let it go, and continue on their way. And as the driver is driving away, we see a little girl in the back seat with her arms on the window, like not banging, but just kind of like arms up, looking out. And this kind of contradicts what this driver, who said his name was Aaron, was saying. He said that she was asleep. Well, she's not asleep. She's up. And this causes Jaq to call in again. And she tells the 911 operator, like, we just saw him, we let him go. And she's like, "Do you see the license plate? Do you see the person's license plate?" And she goes over the license plate number that the updated Amber Alert had. And she's like, "No, it's not it. It's a different person." And the 911 person is going to hang up on her because they have a confirmed sighting. They have a license plate number. And Jaq says that the person who called in the other tip was their name Aaron. And the 911 operator stops because it was Aaron. And Jaq figures out that Aaron called in this tip earlier when they stopped at the gas station to throw everyone off. He said that he saw that this car in like a different location, and they were scrambling police over there, and that allowed him to kind of become relatively unscathed until Jaq and Shane were following him. And so they're now pursuing him. It's a high-speed chase. Jaq is on the line with 911. She gives him the license plate. Finally, it takes him a while. And then they're following. The 911 operator says to stay safe. And eventually she calls Aaron on the phone because she has his number. When earlier she had thrown one of her earbuds into his car and was listening in on his conversations. It was an interesting situation where like Shane had dialed Jaq's phone, and so one of the earbuds was in his car, and so they were able to listen in because they had one earbud there. Seems like it'd be a very confusing way to go, but hey, you know what? It was working, I guess. I would assume that earbud would turn off at some point, but I don't know. It's fine. So they have his number. They call him. I don't know why they called him, but they call him and they tell him to like pull over. And eventually he says, "What if I just kill her now?" And he pushes something out of the car. They stop because they see this thing fall and hit the car. It is the doll, though. Thankfully, it's the doll. But because they stop, Aaron's able to get away. So they call 911. The 911 people say, they've done enough. They've done whatever they can. They have the information. They're going to track him down. But Jaq doesn't feel right about this. She wants to go investigate this, but it's too dangerous. Shane says no. 911 says no. And 911 is going to scramble some cars out. They have the information. They found information about this person from a pharmacy order they did. So they know where he is, and they're going to go find him. Unfortunately, all the police are in a different part of the city because that was a fake tip. So it's going to take a while to get there. They tell this to the mom, Charlotte's mom, who was at the police station kind of helping it out. And she is upset. Like, it's going to take them too long. The police chief personally says, "I'll go there right now and help out." But it's going to take him like 30 minutes. So that mom calls Jaq. She got the number somehow. She calls Jaq and like gives her the address of this Aaron person. So they go to the house, they find it pretty empty, and they decide they need to distract this Aaron person. They find out his real name. I forget what his real name was, but they found it out, and so they are going to distract him. So they call him again, and they know that he had placed a pharmacy order earlier. And so they say, "Hey, this is from the pharmacy. Your order is ready to pick up, but I've got to get out soon. So can you pick it up now? Otherwise, you can pick up tomorrow." And he's like, hold on. I'll be right there." And so they wait for him to leave. And then Jaq and Shane go in and try to find Charlotte. They explore the house. They eventually find Charlotte, but they see that Charlotte has something in her hands. And when she shows it to them, it's a pharmacy bag. This Aaron person had already gone to the pharmacy. They realize that they've been tricked. They also find the earbud. So Aaron also knew that the earbud was in there. So now they are stuck in this house with a potential killer. And this was weird because like I assume Aaron would maybe be following them. Maybe as soon as they get in the house, he would do something. He doesn't. He waits for them to find this. And so then we get into a more tense thriller moment. Now, during their exploration before they found Charlotte, they did find a baby album with Olympia on it. And that was what Aaron said that his daughter's name was when they confronted him much earlier. So it seems like Aaron had a daughter who died, and so maybe he has been doing this to try to like fill that void, find new kids to, fill that up. But they seem to be dying because there are a ton of baby books in there, a lot of baby books in there with a bunch of kids. So it seems like maybe originally he wanted to fill that void with a new kid, but since then he has developed this pattern of like kidnapping kids, and eventually they die. So this makes Jaq and Shane want to fix this even more. Now, after they find out that it was actually a trap, then they try to make their way out. They've got Charlotte. They're trying to leave, but eventually the kidnapper like follows them, and Shane decides that he is going to kind of like hold off the kidnapper. So um, Jaq and Charlotte keep going, try to get out of the house. Shane waits for him, and eventually they confront. They fire at each other, and you don't know what happens. So Jaq and Charlotte eventually make it to like a bedroom. But they hear the kidnapper coming. They're stuck. They're stuck in this room. The kidnapper comes to the door. He aims the gun at Charlotte. Jaq steps in front. She gets shot twice. She gets shot in like the arm and like the side. But she keeps Charlotte safe. And the kidnapper is getting close, getting ready to end it all for Jaq. And then boom, he gets shot. The main detective, the one who said he was going to deal with this personally, is there. He shoots the kidnapper. Everyone is okay. And I was like, okay, is Shane okay? Like, is he alive? But we see him later. He survives. He seems to be fine. I was like, what happened, Shane? Like, why didn't you help? Maybe he got knocked out. I don't know. Seems like he should have maybe gotten the kidnapper before he shot Jaq twice. But in any event, everyone's okay. Shane is fine. Jaq goes to the hospital. Charlotte is reunited, and that's it. We don't find out anything else. I was hoping for like maybe some sort of payoff after, like maybe seeing Shane and Jaq better. Maybe they're dating now because they were both in pretty bad relationships, it seemed. And maybe they're going to visit Charlotte and bringing her a present or something, bringing her maybe a doll, maybe not a creepy doll, maybe a normal doll. That would have been nice. Just a little short afterwards to make sure you know that everyone's okay. But that also feels very Hollywood. That feels very much like everything's gonna be wrapped up in a pretty little bow. But you know what? I kind of like that sometimes. So after the ambulance scene where we see that Jaq is fine, she's going to the hospital, Charlotte's reunited, and Shane's okay. We get some messages about the Amber Alert system and how many kids it saved. And that's the movie. That's Amber Alert. Like I said, I liked it. I thought it was well done. I just wish maybe it had a little bit more of a complex plot. Like I said, maybe a little bit of a nicer kind of bow wrap at the ending. Like I don't know why Shane didn't help Jaq. I mean, he did help. He did have a standoff, but afterwards, did he get knocked out? What happened? We don't know because we never see that perspective. And the only thing that we see is the kidnapper coming through. Also, it feels kind of weird that the kidnapper would like agree to this trap, wait for them to come in, wait for them to find Charlotte, and then go pursue. You would think he would be following them throughout, and then just boom, boom, take them all out. Again, it makes for a more interesting thriller, just not a more kind of like, I don't know, realistic, as realistic as this could be. So, other than that, like I really did enjoy this movie. I thought it was well done. So I definitely think you should check it out. Just wait for it to come to streaming or on demand. But if you do see it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.